Alrighty, boys and girls, this is a review for the Chapter 3 test, working with integers. So it's a little bit of an interactive video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some problems, and then I'm going to have you pause the video. I want you to work out the problems, see if you get the right answer, and the way you're going to see if you get the right answer is by playing the video, and I'm going to explain it to you. So go ahead and pause the video, do these 6 questions, and then once they're all completed, take it off pause and we'll go over it. Okay, hopefully you got them all done and you didn't just keep on playing. So here we go. First one, 1 plus 2, I mean that's 3rd grade style math, 1 plus 2 equals 3. This one right here, I'm adding negatives, they're both negatives, so the sign's the same. So 3 negatives and 2 negatives, imagine like they're, like something you're throwing in a bowl. I got 3 negatives, 2 negatives, put them in a bowl. How many negatives do I got? I've got 5 negatives. Right here, 3 negatives, another 3 negatives, put them together, what do you got? 6 negatives. Okay. Now here, this is where the signs are different. I got 5 positive plus 1 negative. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at this and say, okay, do I have more positives or more negatives? Well, I got more positives. That means my answer is going to be positive. You don't need to write that plus, but if it helps you, you can. What's the difference between the integer 5 and the integer 1? Well, 5 minus 1 is 4. So the answer to this is positive 4. Right here, similar thing, 3 negatives and 2 positives. Do I have more positives or negatives? Well, I have more negatives. I got 3 of them versus just 2 positives. So my answer is going to be negative, and 3 minus 2 is 1, so the answer is negative 1. Right here, additive inverse. Negative 5 plus positive 5. So when you have the negative and positive of the same integer and you're adding them, well, they cancel each other out. It equals 0. And the explanation for that was, if you're standing on the street and you're standing on the street and you see a $5 bill going down the road, you grab it. And then your mom says, hey, I need $5, and she grabs it out of your hand and takes it. Well, you had plus 5, minus 5 all happened, so where are you at? You're back out to 0. So, that is adding integers. The next thing that we are going to do is subtracting. Alrighty, so here are 4 subtraction problems. So go ahead and write these down. I've got 5 minus 3, 3 minus 5, negative 2 minus 3, and negative 6 minus negative 4. Go ahead and try your best on these ones and pause it. Press play when you're ready. Alright, if you hear this, you either didn't figure out how to pause the video or you're ready. So let's go over this. This one right here, don't need to do anything special for. This is the same kind of subtraction problem you've probably seen since, I don't know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, whatever. So 5 minus 3, 2. This one right here. Now this might present a little bit of a problem for you. And all these, if you can do them in your head, that's great, that's perfect, that's the goal, go for it. But if you can't do it in your head, let's take a look. 3 minus 5, I say, alright, I can't do this. Well, that 3-letter phrase that I taught you, KCC, stands for keep, change, change. So I keep the first the same, which is 3. I change this subtraction to addition, and I change this positive 5 to a negative 5. Well, now, this problem, 3 plus negative 5, well, this is just like one of the additions we do where we have signs that are different. So say, alright, do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? I got more negatives, so the answer is negative. What's the difference between 5 and 3? Well, 5 minus 3 is 2, so the answer is negative 2. Let's take a look at this one. Negative 2 minus 3. Keep, change, change. I'm going to keep this negative 2. I'm going to change this to plus, and I'm going to change this positive 3 to a negative 3. Well now, look, 2 negatives and 3 negatives, put them together, how many negatives you got? 5 negatives, and there's our answer. Now, the last one, keep, change, change. I've got a negative 6 plus, and this negative 4, I'm going to change that to positive 4. So now I look at this, do I have more negatives or more positives? More negatives. So the answer is going to be negative. And 6 minus 4 is 2. So that is subtracting integers. If you can do that, you should be great on the subtraction problems. Alrighty, so next up we are going to do multiplication problems. Alright, so this time I've got 6 problems for you. Hopefully they don't take that long. 2 times 3, negative 3 times 5, negative 2 times negative 4, negative 2 cubed, that means to the 3rd power, negative 3 squared, that's to the 2nd power, and then negative 2 times negative 3 times 2. Alright, go for it and press play when you are ready. Alright, so here we go. Well, 2 times 3, hopefully that's not an issue for anybody. 2 times 3 is 6. Yay. All right, right here, I've got signs that are different. Remember, when the signs are different, the answer is negative. And remember what I said about, you meet somebody. If you both like the same thing, you're both positive, you're going to get along, positive. If you both hate the same thing, great, you'll hate it together. The answer is positive. If you're different, somebody likes Taylor Swift, somebody doesn't like Taylor Swift, not getting along, so that'll be negative. So let's see, right here I have different signs, so the answer is going to be negative, and 3 times 5 is 15. Right here, 2 negatives, so answer is going to be positive, and 2 times 4 is 8. Now, right here, this is negative 2 to the power of 3. This little 3 tells us to write this, the base, that many times. So we're going to rewrite this as negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Now, when we do these problems, you can't multiply 3 numbers at once. So you can't be like, oh, they're all negatives, it's positive. It doesn't work that way. It only works that way when you have 2 things that you're multiplying. So I'm going to box out 2 things that I'm going to do. I'll do the first 2. So negative 2 times negative 2. Well, they're both negative, so the answer is positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now, I still have this last one that I have to use, so I'm going to bring this down. A little arrow. Look at that. Fancy arrow. Oh, look at that. All right. So now I got negative 2 here. Well, 4 times negative 2. Are the signs the same? No. Since the signs aren't the same, the answer is going to be negative, and 4 times 2 is 8. So the answer to that one's negative 8. So now let's take a look at this one. Negative 3 squared. Negative 3 to the power of 2. Well, this little 2 tells us to write the base twice. So we're going to write negative 3 times negative 3. Since the signs are the same, the answer is positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that's our answer for that one. This one right here, again, can't multiply 3 things at once. So here we go. Negative times negative, signs are the same, so it's positive. 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm going to bring this down here, and it's a positive 2. 6 times 2, signs are the same, so it's positive. The answer is 12. And that is multiplying integers. Next up, we are going to do some division of integers. Alright, sorry kids, I lied. I forgot to give you ones like these, and you will have stuff like this on the test. So evaluate each expression. If c equals 3 and p equals negative 2. So question 1, c squared. Question 2, negative 3p squared. And question 3, cp. Go ahead and do your best. Alright, so here we go. So c squared. Well, c equals 3, so we're going to write this as 3 squared. And that means 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 3p squared. So we're going to write this as negative 3 times, and p is equal to negative 2, so we have negative 2 squared. Well, negative 2 squared, that means this base right here is going to be written twice. So we're actually going to write this as negative 3 times negative 2 times negative 2. Why do I have 2 of these negative 2's? Because of that exponent right there. It tells me how many times to write them. So remember, just like the problems we did up here, we're going to take it step by step, 2 of them at a time, so we can't multiply all 3 at once. So these 2 right here, I've got negative 3 times negative 2. Signs are the same, that makes it positive, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now I'm going to bring this one down here, and I've got positive 6 now times negative 2. See where that 2 came from? Positive times a negative. Signs are different, so the answer is negative, and 6 times 2 is 12. Last one, CP. Anytime something touches a letter, it's multiplication, even if it's another letter. So I'm going to rewrite this. C is equal to 3, and P is equal to negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is going to be negative 6. And this time I promise that's it for multiplication. So next up, division. Almost done. Alright, so here's some division ones right here. Evaluate each expression. If z equals negative 5, y equals 3. Negative 6 divided by 2, negative 12 divided by negative 4. This is 25 divided by z. This is z plus y divided by 7 plus z. Go ahead, do your best, give it a shot, and press play when you're ready. Alright, so here we go. First of all, the signs here are different, same rules as multiplication. When the signs are different, the answer is negative. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Right here, the signs are the same, just like multiplication. When they're the same, the answer is positive, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now right here, we've got 25 divided by z, so I'm going to rewrite it as 25 divided by, and what's z equal? Z equals negative 5. Signs are different, so my answer is negative, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Number 4, as challenging as it gets. So, I'm going to rewrite it. Z is equal to negative 5, so I got negative 5 plus, and y is equal to 3. That's on top. On bottom, I've got 7 plus, and z equals negative 5. So now, let's see what we got. Well, negative 5 plus 3, these are different signs. So, I have more negatives than I do positives here, so I know on top I'm going to have a negative, and 5 minus 3 is 2. On bottom, I've got more positives than I do negatives, 7 positives, 5 negatives, so my answer is going to be positive, and the difference between 7 and 5 is 2. So now I got negative 2 over positive 2. Remember, additive inverse is only when you add, not when you multiply or divide or subtract. That's why it has add in the name. So, negative divided by positive, signs are different, so the answer is negative, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Alright, boys and girls, don't be afraid to make your own problems to try and practice, but if you got all these right, you should be in perfect shape for this test. Please don't worry and don't stress about it. If you got a bunch of them wrong, rewatch the videos, make your own problems, try and do them, check your answers with the calculator. Best of luck. Hope you all do wonderful. I'd love to give you all hundreds, so good luck. All right?